Hi, I'm Mary, a librarian and book reviewer with a focus on stories written for kids, tweens, and teens. Today, I get to share with you this book called All Better Now, written by Neal Shusterman. It's hard to imagine another pandemic so quickly on the heels of COVID-19, but that's exactly what's happening in this book, and Crown Royale has started taking over the world. It's a little bit more deadly than COVID-19, but it's a little bit different too, because when everyone recovers from the disease, they are different. Their brains have changed and they see the world in a different light. Everyone seems happier and more pleased with just the basics, and they don't really have a drive to do much else because they're just happy and content being the way they are. So, because of the joy that comes from recovering from the disease, there's a huge group of people that is trying to get it so that they can experience the euphoria for themselves. But other people are noticing that with the lack of drive, it can really impact the nature of the world and what success can look like. So there are two different factions. One side that is trying their best to get the disease and to live in a world that is harmonious and devoid of any sort of conflict. The other side sees the fact that humanity may not progress the way it once did if everyone were to behave in a way that prevents that kind of progress from happening. So they're working on developing a vaccine to make sure that not everybody succumbs to the disease. So this story is told from several different perspectives. You've got different sides of the story. You have wealthy folks who are determined to not get the disease because they want to stay in power and they see the dangers that come from getting the disease and losing that drive for power and success. And you have folks on the other side who are seeing the impact of the disease and also the repercussions that happen afterwards. So when you've got joy and friendship and easygoing feelings after getting the disease, there's a lot of desire there to experience that, especially folks who have various mental illnesses or color blindness, and they're seeing that those things are remedied after having this disease. So the story itself is very dense. It encapsulates a lot of different angles to this perspective, and it makes readers really think about what could happen if a certain disease were to be like Crown Royale. How would the world work if everyone were happy at the end of the disease and thinking peaceful thoughts instead of less harmonious ones? But there's also the other side of the situation of whether or not human progress can continue if everyone has that same mentality. So it's definitely thought-provoking. It is very dense. It is written for a young adult audience, especially because the characters themselves are young adults. But I would say adults also would find a lot to get out of this book. Because of the density of it, it really requires a mature reader, someone who's able to settle into the story a little bit. And what's interesting is that while it is quite long and there's a lot of text in the book, it really keeps the attention going. You want to find out what happens next. You want to find out the motivations of the characters, how they all intersect, and what ultimately is the resolve of the story. So if you're into speculative fiction, a little bit of suspense, I would say also with this one, and if you've enjoyed Neal Shusterman's other work, you'll appreciate this as well. If this sounds like a great fit for you or for someone you know, I hope you look for it at your favorite bookstore.